Hello, everyone. This is Mario from Technomancy Studios here today to do the first devlog for Suits 2, the current work in title progress. Current title work in progress. It's gonna be a bit off the cuff, but I think this is a necessity so that we can start getting the name out here for our game and make sure people know that we're actually working on this. One problem we have is always trying to make sure people know that we're making these games. So this build of Suits, this is an early build of Suits that we've got with a basic quest line with just for this district, which is the Wall Street district, but there's a lot only just placeholder stuff here. So I don't expect this to be in the final game. Actually, this whole place is getting remodeled. It's too small for us. We want these districts to be a lot bigger than Suits 1. But this was a good little start just to at least have something. Now, on the news of Gamma 19, it's still on hiatus. I'm gonna say that we're gonna actually go back to doing that after Suits 2, and Suits 2 shouldn't take us that long compared to Gamma 19. And the reason being is Suits 2 actually uses a lot of the systems that Gamma 19 uses, and a lot of improvements made amongst from Kitsune Kitchen, our other game. In case you guys didn't know, we made another game called Kitsune Kitchen, the visual novel, believe it or not, and that is actually a lot of the code is being used in Suits 2, and probably in other future RPG titles we're going to make. So, for example, if I talk to this guy right here, he's going to. You see the text box. Now this text box, in Game 19 we have a text box system, and then we modified it significantly in Kitsune Kitchen. In a Kitsune Kitchen, we wanted to have a linear dialogue with choices, or not necessarily linear, but like a dialogue that can eventually break off into paths. The problem with Gamma 19 was we had very strict way of going about doing the dialogue. Everything was done within the NPC. All drawing the text box was done inside the NPC rather than its own object, which can cause some issues when you want to do special things. That wasn't really too much of an issue though when we worked in Game 19. But for something like Kitsune Kitchen and stuff like that, we wanted to make it a very clear and concise visual representation of how do we build this dialogue and the scene, making sure everything, with the order, we can clearly see the order. So I'm going to actually move the display capture right now. So this is our battle manager. This isn't what I want to show. So let me open up a NPC actually. So I'm going to do this, the first NPC, I guess this should be the first one, right? No, it's not, I think. No, this probably is the first one. So we have an alarm called Dialogue, Alarm 0. And this system actually came from the timeline system that GameMaker has. Now, I have no idea actually how to work with timelines, and it seems like too much work for me for what I wanted to do. Because I wanted to come up with an easy way so that even the other members of Technomancy Studios can just come in here and make their own changes and make their own game if they wanted to make their own visual novel in Kitsune Kitchen's case. Or not just them, but even anybody else. So I came up with a system that pretty much kind of derives from the timeline system, and it is a very simple system. We have a switch event. Now we have two switches, but this is just to switch between different dialogues. You'll see it when I get to it. So we have a current moment, which is always by default at 0. Current moment starts at 0, and this alarm runs once. So you trigger it by either interacting with the character, or if it's a cutscene, you do it automatically at the create event. So it goes alarm. It sets this alarm here. So in here, it just does everything it needs to do. This is where all the magic happens. You just say any kind of code you want to do. So like destroy something, create something, whatever. So here we have current moment plus plus, which just adds 1 to the current moment, and it pretty much says it moves on. So now that this runs, it will create a text box that will say this text here, and this code here is just some extra stuff, so that's probably not necessary because there's not really a case where. So the idea is you have your name of the character, the text, and the who's the parent object of this text box. That's just, it's always going to be self. I don't think there's ever going to be a case where it's not. So then it's going to add one more moment, and so when you press space on the text box, it's going to trigger alarm 0 again to that parent, and then moving on to the next step, and then so on and so forth. And you don't have to do just plus plus. Actually, you can, for like things like just jumping straight to current moment 100, you say equals 100. That's what, and it makes the system actually very powerful and useful. Gamma 19 system works sort of like this, except it's more convoluted, I think. It's not clear when you're looking at it. Honestly, it kind of makes me just want to redo that system, but with the amount of time we have, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Maybe for some newer characters, I might do it with. We'll see. It probably shouldn't be too bad. But then again, it would mean a rework of all the text box systems, so... So anyway, let's get back to the actual game. As everybody wants to see, probably. So we don't actually have it should be actually drawing the names, but we don't actually have that yet. We just don't have the little assets for that, and this was really quickly put together within like 2 days, this whole quest line. So my idea for Suits was just to make a basic area, which I had, and just work on the systems. We know how Suits works, we know the story, we know how we're going to want this to go. But, you know, obviously things like controllers, which is what I'm using right now, actually has controller support. And honestly, it's the best thing because it's really fun to move your character like this. Yeah, we have 8 directional movement, and you can use the left joystick to move your character around, and the right to kind of aim in a sense. And you may be wondering, what are you going to use aiming for in Suits? Well, we have a fun little mechanic, which I'm not sure if I could do it to this guy, but I think I'll do it to some other NPC. And it's our punching mechanic. So I'm really proud of this system. And when you punch, you kind of vibrate, and when you hit something, you vibrate even more, and the screen shakes a little bit more. It's a very... Now, obviously, you're not going to be punching infinitely during the actual game, because we're going to give you a little stamina meter. The idea is, enemies are going to be actually represented in the physical world, and not just how in Suits 1 they were mostly like invisible and will randomly come at you. Oh, and you can sprint. So this is one of our rooms here, but it might change. So yeah, we have this punching mechanic, and you can punch and stun enemies, and it's a great idea. I love it. Everybody loves it. It's just like, imagine Pokemon, and you know those annoying. I always hate playing Pokemon with those trainers. They're like, come up to you. Just, you know, you go. That wasn't a good example of punching, but he's stunned. He doesn't have a... Oh. I broke it. Yep, we still got a lot of problems to deal with. So, yeah, punching, it's great. The animation's great. It feels pretty impactful, especially on controllers. You may be wondering, why am I putting controller support? Because I actually really want this game to get on the Switch. That'd be really nice to do. Now, if I press the start button, we have a little basic, obviously placeholder item system, or item manager, or inventory system. So we have only 2 items in this game, just test item and sandwich. And you can use your sandwich, you can drop it, cancel. I'm actually very proud of the system. It took me a while to get this right and to figure out what's the best way of going about doing it. So might go into that a little bit later, or a different video about how I did this, but you can use, you can drop, and you drop in the physical world too. case you want to pick it up again. So there's a lot of, actually quite a lot of potential. So during this quest, we're going to talk to this bank teller. There's a bunch of them. But it doesn't matter which one you talk to, it's all the same object anyway. And this is supposed to be an ATM, but we don't actually have an ATM place. This is a placeholder, pretty much. Actually, let me show you the punching real quick here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. See, slides around. Pretty much push things. This punching mechanic is going to be actually a really big thing. Not just for enemies, but in the world. It's going to be something you're going to use to interact with things in the world. We're going to try to... So this is the fighting system. Now, this is still placeholder stuff. I made actually all of this stuff for placeholder except for this and the background. So the idea for this is that you're gonna have your basic attack, and there's a max of 3 enemies that could be 3 enemies and 3 players that can be on the field at once. And this is also very hard to make because Game 19 was only a 1v1 system. There was never going to be multiple characters because of how complex that can get. And because Game 19 was more of a real-time system and the way it works. So this is going to be turn-based, just like Suits 1. And we're going to have just it's going to be very similar to Suits 1. There's some mechanics we don't have in here yet that will be implemented later. I think things that impact actually the game and the story when you fight. The use tab doesn't actually work for now because it's going to be a little complicated actually to get that working. So here we have some skills. So the player unlocks skills, and there's going to be a max amount of skills as you play and you level up. You're going to unlock skills and as a party. There's not going to be like a single player EXP pool. There's not going to be like each character has their own individual XP. That's way too much work, and that is not... I don't like the system, personally. Because that means if you are playing as your main character, your other characters, the new characters you get and leave behind throughout the game, are going to be underpowered during the end, or near the end. And so we have this party system, which is pretty much a party EXP. And so the party all gets... It's like pretty much, if the party's level 1, everybody's level 1. If the party's level 2, everybody's level 2. And that's pretty much the gist of it. So that's like just to make it a lot more streamlined, casualized, I guess, for people who don't like the idea of playing an RPG, leaving a character behind, getting a new character who's way under level than everybody else. You know? Or if the character dies in Mother 3 or in Earthbound, they don't get EXP for that because they're dead, even though they fought a lot and were just killed. Doesn't matter. So we have the skill. I'm going to yeet on this guy. Yep, he's dead. We won. Already got some EXP and some cash. And there is a chance that, you know, that enemy will drop items. Now, the idea is to have special items, or rare items, that will drop from enemy encounters. So we have kind of like a pool for each enemy. It's like, this enemy can drop these 3 basic items, one of the 3 basic items, or it will drop a rare item. So it's something I just put there, not really something, it all depends on what we're going to do with the items, really. There's going to be some good items, I know that. So in this part, there's just a little thing here. We're going to go in here. And, yeah, I'm very proud of what we have so far. Visually, I really do like where we're going with this visually. It still Suits 1, just with, like, better looking graphics, I guess. Like, Suits, you know, like, the drawings aren't as garbage, I would say. This game, like, it works. It's going to be on multiple platforms, hopefully we can do that. I want to get it to Mac and Linux. But Linux is probably going to be the hardest one since I don't actually have a working Linux machine. We might have to do some kind of beta testing thing. I just showed something I wasn't supposed to. Whatever. Guess if you watch the video, then you're gonna get advantage then. So yeah, pretty much that's kind of it what we got for Suits 2 right now. There's not really much to, you know, we got, you know, if you haven't noticed the real-time the reflections there, I was kind of happy about that. Nice little shiny floors. So yeah, we hope to get something done soon, a demo done. If, you know, time, we should be able to do this in maybe like another few weeks. We can get a demo done and out into the public. But it all depends. We might take another month or two. Anywho, this is gonna be the end of the first devlog. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want, follow us on our Twitter at Technomancy US. We have a Tumblr, Technomancy Studios Tumblr. And take care.